Okay, this is a getting started webinar. There was a suggestion that we should do one of these, so this has come from the suggestion from the polls that Sean took. Essentially, we're going to be looking at the basic level of, well, it's not so much the basic level, but if you like, the bread and butter side of Civil3D, without going into huge amounts of technical detail on the really smart and clever things you can do. So what I would like to do is zoom on into that and have a look at the here we go. Sorry, just waiting for your screen to catch up. Have a look at the basics. So we've got just two polls to begin with, just to look quickly at where to aim this webinar. Thereafter, we'll work through the basic workflow of bringing points into your drawing, creating surfaces out of them, running a roading corridor on top of that, and getting some likely looking output out of the system. So, just to go and have a look at the polls, and let's just do the first poll. Here we go. The poll is asking, are you a ? Choose one. Seasoned user, somebody who's been using for Civil3D for a while, a new user, and somebody who's new to Civil3D, or somebody who's never seen Civil3D before and is watching to see the type of thing it can do. Just click on your screen in the appropriate place and you'll register your vote on that poll. Okay, just close that poll now and just let you see the results there. So I've got a few seasoned users. Okay, you're welcome to be here. It's not specifically aimed at, the session isn't specifically aimed at you guys, but I'll leave it up to your discretion whether you stay and continue watching or decide that the next session perhaps is going to be more applicable to you, but we'll see. You're welcome to be here. Hi, how are you? And we shall continue. New users, excellent. Prospective users, great. We shall pitch it at that level. I'd like to do another poll, if we may. Here we go. Coming up now. Asking what is your area of interest for this particular webcast. Just give me a little bit of an indication of where I should spend more time while we're going through this stuff. Just give you a few more minutes, just a minute or so to people to finish voting there. Okay. Coming on through. Alright, I'm going to close the poll now. And if I share the results with you, it's an interesting result. So most people want to see stuff about surfaces, so we can spend a bit of time on that. That's good. Same amount of people on points and corridors, and people aren't really that interested in the output, which is interesting. So that's probably not a bad way to structure the session. If we need to do another session on output later on, which is by output I'm meaning creating the your long sections and cross sections and getting all laid out on your paper, that sort of thing. We might spend some more time in a later webcast doing that. If we get a chance, we'll run through it quickly in this session, but won't spend too much time on it. Okay, let's start the session. So we rock on to Civil3D. Let me just close that poll so we don't have that on screen anymore. Okay, and your screen should be updating shortly. With a bit of luck. No, it doesn't seem to be updating. Just give me a second. there she goes. You should now have my screen up in front of you. Alright, so for those who have loaded up the Australian New Zealand Country Kit, when you start up the blank template, it's not quite blank, it's got this note in the middle of it. That's referring to a change you have to make in the drawing settings when you first start up using intersections in Civil3D. We're not too worried about that at this stage, so we can just delete that off screen. Select it and delete it. And once you've done that once anyway in your Civil3D, you can delete it out of the template. You don't need that note anymore. Okay, so first thing we need to look at is points. Typically, that's what you start off with in a job. Let's bring some survey data into your drawing. For those who haven't seen Civil3D before, it looks very similar to AutoCAD in that it's got the ribbon up the top. It's not the standard AutoCAD ribbon, it is a Civil3D ribbon. And on the left-hand side here we have a thing called a tool space. That contains all the Civil3D objects in your drawing. They appear in the drawing screen in front of you and also load up into this thing called a tool space. Basically, it runs from top to bottom in the tool space, from points up the top, running through creating surfaces, alignments, corridors, and then right down to view frame groups in your output. It basically runs from top to bottom, and we're going to start at the top with our points. Now the ribbon is, well, the Civil3D ribbon I should say, is new in 2010, and we're going to run from the ribbon up there and go and create our points. So it's in the Home tab, Points, Point Creation Tools. There's all sorts of ways you can create points, but we're just going to grab it with this last icon, Import Points from File. We've got a file that we're going to grab with the column format of points, eastings, then northings, then a elevation, then a description, which relates to the PENZD format that's shown at the top there that you will be able to see on your screen. I'm just going to go through and navigate to my file. It's just a CSV file, nothing more, nothing less, which I'm sure you're used to using, and go OK. Okay, that's done. I'll just go ZE for zoom extents, and you should see on your screen in a moment that all those points have come in. I'm just going to close this Create Points toolbar. And hopefully your screen's caught up at this stage. Now that I've brought those points into the drawing, there's actually some point groups already made in the ANZ template, Australia New Zealand template. And you can see there's some little exclamation marks here appeared in the tool space on the left-hand side. That just means those objects, in this case point groups, need updating. So I'm going to right-click on point groups, go Update, to update them all. And on screen, my display of my little points is updated. Initially, if I do a zoom window, initially your points are brought in under this initial check point group that's at the top, and they have the point number, elevation and description, and so you can have a check around and see where all your points have gone in your drawing. Once you're happy with that, and you've done a little bit of an initial check, we can right-click on this point groups, go to its properties, take that initial check group and just move it down to the bottom of the list. That changes the style of the the points are displaying using a thing called a style, which is just the way it appears on screen, and removes all that extraneous data, so we've only got the elevations showing for those particular points. I'm going to zoom out again. What is quite good to do...
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
That's interesting. That doesn't usually happen, but well, hopefully you have been listening to me anyway. What is good to do is just use the 3D capabilities of Civil3D just to check those points when they first come in. So I'm going to select all my points, just using the crossing window. Right click, go Object Viewer, and I get all my points in 3D. Now I'm just going to spin that on its side, and if I had any points obviously at 0 elevation or at a crazy elevation, when this thing's spun on its side, you'd see them straight away. So I like using that 3D viewer, and you can just spin it around to change its viewpoint, just to check things out. So I like using that 3D capability. Let me just move this thing down a bit. It's better. So I'll close that box. Alright, so I haven't got any points obviously in the wrong place. What I'm going to do now, we're going to spend a little bit of time, more time looking at these points, but I'll just create the surface first and then we can come back and play with them. So, back over in the tool space on the left hand side, we can go to the surfaces. We've done our points, point groups, and now we're moving down the list. Let's go create a surface. So right click on there, go create a surface. Surface name, we'll call it NG for natural ground, and that's the style, contours and triangulation, with contours at 1 meter and 5 meter intervals. Sounds good to me. So I'm just going to click OK. Now what that's done is merely created a surface, but it has no information in that surface yet. So if I expand out the surfaces group on the tool space and expand out the NG surface that's been made, we can go start putting some data in it under this definition area. So I'm going to right click on point groups, go add, and the point group I want to add in is the one called contourable, or the one you're going to use for all your contours. I should say for your surface really. So I'm going to go contourable and click OK, and immediately there's my surface done. It's grabbed all those points, built it into a surface. I can put it in, select it, right click, go to the object view to look in 3D, spin it around a bit, and you should be able to see on the screen. Just giving a second for you guys to catch up. There's a nice surface there. Okay, we'll come back to looking at surfaces in a minute, but I can see that it's formed correctly, and we don't need to do too much else about it at the moment. Okay, and we just had a bit of a voiceover from the other office, but I think we've sorted that now. All right, that being done, we've got our surface in there. Now let's go and have a bit of a look at an area on that surface and play around with what we can do with point groups. As people were asking, that's something they wanted to look at the point side of things. So let's go zoom window into this area here. Okay, I've got a point here in the middle at 405.04 elevation that I may decide is incorrect. That it's not supposed to be part of the surface, it's contouring up wrong perhaps, or I know that that's say, I don't know, the top of the building I took instead of ground level, so I want to remove that point. Now, it's already been built into the surface, but the fact that Civil3D is, has a lot of sort of auto-update features or what you might well, yes, auto-update features. Parametric ability is what you might call it technically. The fact that you can remove a point from the... just got a message here to say my audio connection's just been lost, so I'm going to wait a second until it reconnects. Okay, give it a second. Okay, sorry about that. I just got a message here to say that the audio had dropped out, and should be back on board again now, hopefully. If it's not, Chris, could you give me a phone on the call on the phone and let me know? All right. That being the case, I think we're back online. We're talking about points, and the fact is that an easy way to control your surface and remove points from the point surface is make use of the auto-update abilities of Civil3D. So if we open up our point groups now, if you recall, we made our surface out of this point group called Contourable. If I open up the properties of that point group just with a right click and let your screens catch up, give it a second. Here we go. We can, under the Exclude tab, say I'm going to exclude particular points out of this point group. So I'm going to exclude points from the point group. And sorry, I was just getting a message through from Chris there saying that the sound has come back, so that's excellent. So I'm going to exclude points with numbers matching, and I can just use the selection set in the group, in the drawing I should say, and I can select that particular point. There it goes. I can select more than one point if I want. I'm just going to select one in this case, and I've excluded that point 40 with an elevation of 405.04. Having done that, I click OK, and if you watch the surface in the background, begging your pardon, if I had it on automatic rebuild, it would have rebuilt straight away. You can see that though the tool space on the left hand side shows that the surface needs updating. If I right click on that and go rebuild automatic, it'll just automatically update itself as I make changes. So let's do that, and you can see immediately that point has been removed from the surface. Let's just show you the auto update feature. I'm going to remove another one of these. So let's go into that Contourable point group, properties. We're going to exclude another point, selection set and drawing. I'm going to pick that one, and you'll see the triangulation this time. As soon as I hit OK, the surface updates. Straight away the triangulation changed. Okay, so that's an easy way to control what objects are making up your surface by just simply playing around with the point groups. Okay, well there's our surfaces. People wanted to have a bit of a look at surfaces, so let's see what we can do with that. I'll just zoom in on an area here. The fact that Civil3D controls the display of all its objects with what they call styles means it's very easy to change things like the contouring and the like on your drawing. All we need to do is simply select the surface object, right click, go into its surface properties, and you've got its style shown here. I'll just let your drawing catch up. Sorry, not your drawing catch up, I should say your screen catch up. There she goes. All right. So under the Information tab, you can just change your style. So I've currently got contours and triangulation at 1 meter and 5 meters. Perhaps I want to see just the triangulation, or, well, let's go for just the triangulation in a cyan color. Change the style to that, click OK, and immediately, once your web connection catches up, you'll see that all the contours have gone and we can just see the triangulation of that surface. There she is. Okay. Again, if we select that, right click, go to our 3D object viewer and give it a bit of a spin, we get a slightly different view in that we've now got can see the 3D solid surface rather than just the contours that we had before. And we can spin it around and have a bit of a look and play with it. Don't know how well that's coming through as a grey colour on your screens, but we'll see how we go. Alright, easy to change the way that objects look on screen. I'm going to just change that back to a contour, but contour type display, but I want to not have the triangles shown. So let's see if we've got a contours at 1 meter and 5 meter. That will do. We'll go OK. Okay, just letting the screens catch up. All right. Now, what we might want to do is typically put a boundary on our surface. More often than not, you're wanting to remove long triangles that were unintended in the surveying process around the edge of your surface. And I should have left the triangles turned on, so let me just change my style back there. Apologies for that. It's good practice though to see how it works. So I'm going to just change back to that cyan triangulation again. Alright, letting the screens catch up. So typically what we're talking about, now that you can see it, is in the middle of the screen there's some long triangles around the edge of the surface which probably were not intended when the survey was done. The surveyor would have walked around these outside points that are marked here and wouldn't have expected the surface to, well, wasn't intending for the surface to triangulate over the large long triangles that have occurred there, which has been done automatically by the software. Alright, so you can put in a boundary to change that. I'm just going to draw a polyline, PL for polyline, or you can select it from the ribbon. And I'm just going to make a polyline that crosses in and crosses out over the top of those large triangles I don't want, and put that in as what they call a destructive boundary. Means a destructive boundary just means that it's going to destroy any triangles that this polyline crosses. So into there and out to there, and I'll just make my way around the surface doing that. I'm just going to do a small part of it, I'm not going to do all of it. That would do. I would just continue doing that all the way around the surface, but to save time I'm just going to zip around the rest of it and go close to close the polyline. Nice thing about this is you can use all your AutoCAD tools that you already know on these objects and incorporate all the other objects like a polyline that I've just drawn, and everything works really well. Also, you've got the ability to use the undo and redo commands, standard AutoCAD commands, all the Civil3D objects. Let's undo the polyline. Oops. What's it going to let me redo my polyline, hopefully? There it goes. Cool. Yeah, all the Civil3D objects act very much like AutoCAD objects, so you can use a lot of the editing tools and operate and use them just like you would AutoCAD objects. All right, I want to apply that as a boundary now, so I'm going to go back over to my tool space. I'm going to right-click on Boundaries in the definition. I'm going to go Add, give it a name, Outer Boundary. It's going to be an outer boundary type. I'm going to leave ticked off this part that says non-destructive break lines. If I want it to be a destructive one, I leave that ticked off. Go OK, select on screen that boundary, and you can see straight away those long triangles have been taken out. The fact that it auto updates means that I can grab that polyline now and change it, and suddenly those triangles will come back again once I've done that. Just let my screen catch up. And similarly, I can grab that polyline and put it back and cross it over more triangles if I want to eliminate all of those ones as well out of my surface. Okay, so it's all automatic update, parametric type program. Okay. Alright, that's a little bit of a look at surfaces. We need to move on now to have a bit of a look at the corridor side of things. So now I'm going to change my surface style back to just contours. Surface properties, surface style, change it back to contours at 1 and 5 meters. Okay. What I should really do too is take that boundary and put it on a layer that is turned off. It can exist quite happily like that, and will continue to work. Let's just do that quickly. Just bring up my layer properties manager here, and I'll just need to make a new one. Make a new layer here, and I'm going to call it turned off. Maybe put the underscore, would be good, underscore off, and we'll just turn that layer off. Just shift my screen. Okay, so what I'll do is just select that polyline that I've made and whack it onto that layer that's turned off, and the ribbon here, which is there. So you can see that the boundary is turned off. It's out of my drawing, but it's still active in terms of controlling that surface. All right, had a look at a bit of a play with surfaces, a bit of a play with points. Let's go and have a look at corridors. So a corridor object is essentially there for creating linear structures such as roads, canals, etc. Before we can do that, we need to throw in an alignment. So we're going to use the alignment creation tools from the ribbon. Just give it the default name will be fine for my alignment. You can name it what you like, and it's probably quite a good idea to do so you don't get confused in your drawing. And I'm going to select from the toolbar that pops up, which you should get in a moment. There we go. I'm going to select create tangent and automatically put in curves. Now I'm going to specify a start point just here. Drag my cursor out. Just let your screens catch up. There we go. Just dragging out the cursor, and as I move my cursor around, it lays out the arcs in the corners for me. And let's just pop another one down here. Go into when I'm finished. Okay, nothing too hard about creating that sort of alignment. Just let your screens catch up a bit. I've just zoomed in on an area here. Okay, so we can highlight that alignment now that it's been made. We get a whole bunch of grips, and we can grip edit it and change the size of those arcs that are being displayed there. Okay, I'm not going to go too far into that because your screens are struggling to catch up there by the look of it. But we've got our alignment made. Just zoom extents. Right. That being done, we can create a profile or a long section from that alignment. So we go back up to the ribbon, create surface profile. One thing about the ribbon you'll notice, if you hover over a command for long enough, you get a nice big help description of what that command does and how you use it. It's very, very useful. In fact, I think that's one of the best parts of the 2010 ribbon, is that it's very, very user-friendly for new users. So I'm going to go create surface profile, comes up with a little dialog box. I want to click this add button to add in the natural ground surface to my profile. I'm going to go with the rest of the defaults. Go draw profile view. Again, I can name it. It just brings up a series of wizards to ask how you want to display your bits and pieces that you happen to be drawing. I'm just going to go with all the defaults and just go create the profile view and pop it over here on my screen. And there's my profile. Okay. So that gives us the natural ground surface along that alignment. We want to put in a design surface now that our road's going to run along. Sorry, I should say design profile that our road's going to run along. So let's go make a profile. But in this case it's going to be a design profile. So we go to the next step down on the ribbon over here. Just let your screens catch up, which is Profile Creation Tools. It asks to select the profile view to create the profile, so I'm going to click on the profile view that I've just made. Give it a name. It's going to be called Design and a few bunch of numbers after that, so that's fine. Go OK. And we get a toolbar. Now similar to the, I'll just let your screens catch up, but similar to the, or this in fact looks very similar to the alignment toolbar, and it is. And the first part here we can go draw tangents with curves, so that's what I'm going to do again, same as I did in the with the alignments. Just going to turn on my O snap, so I snap right to the beginning of my first profile, and then turn off the O snaps again so I can get to lay out my my design. So I think I might have a high point here, low point there, and turn my O snaps back on and snap to the end of my profile. Hit enter once I've finished that command and it labels it all up for me. Nice and straightforward. Oops, I've just hit the help key instead of what I meant to do, which was just close that toolbar. Okay, you can see we've got, oops, just let your screens catch up. We've got the straights, well, sorry, the tangents and the vertical curves shown up in blue and red respectively. Once your screen catches up. There we go, you should see it now. Again, we can just simply click that profile, we get a whole bunch of grids, and we can change its geometry by reducing the size of one of those curves, for instance, grabbing any of the IPs and moving them up or down. So you've got full control over that. Okay. That being done, let's go and have a look at what else we need to do to create a corridor. So we've got a horizontal geometry, we've got a vertical geometry. Now we need to say, okay, what's the road surface going to look like in a cross-section type view. To do that, we do make what's called an assembly, create assembly from the ribbon. Just go with standard name and pop it on a point on screen, I should say, which makes a little line on screen that you can attach your assembly to. This is like the center point of that assembly, so you should see that now on screen. And we start building up the cross-section of our road. We do that by going to our tool palettes, again from up in the ribbon, in the top left-hand corner. I'm just going to drag this off a little bit here. Hopefully I haven't. Okay. I'm just going to move my tool palettes over here for the moment. Just let your screens catch up. Okay. That being done, we get some Civil3D specific tool palettes we can use, and I'm going to just change to the one called Lanes and grab Lane Inside Super. And simply clip it onto the center line, if you like, of that alignment center point that was generated when we started this command. So I click on there, and we get a little lane appearing to the left-hand side of the marker. I'm going to go to my properties now and change the side to right, and I'm going to pop one on the right-hand side as well. Okay, let's just zoom in a little bit there to help you see what's going on. So we've got a lane there with several layers of pavement. That being done, I'm going to change my my subassembly. These little sections, each piece of the lane is called a subassembly. Also, other subassemblies you get are ones for curbs. So I'm going to grab a curb, just going to grab an urban curb and gutter, and sorry, my phone's just going crazy there. Okay, let's just turn that off. That's much better. Okay, urban curb and gutter general. And we're going to go for a, we're just going to use the default sizes. You can change all these sizes. I'm just going to use the default sizes. This one's going on the right-hand side, so I'm going to zoom in on the right-hand side. And the key to doing this is to actually click on these little circles that appear on your screen. Don't try and object snap to the corner of your previous subassembly. Click on that little circle, and that's how you add it in. I'm going to change my side to left on the properties, scroll across to the left at the back on the screen, and click onto the circle on the left. Okay, so now you should see that that's appeared as it should. Okay, I'm now going to grab another type of subassembly, which is just going to use a generic one, a generic link with width and slope. This is one Sean likes to use for all sorts of technical things. I'm just going to use it simply now to make a berm between the back of the footpath and, sorry, the back of the curb and where I want to start my daylight from, or my batter slope. So I'm going to make it on the width of 1 meter in the properties here. It's on the left, 2 degree slope should be fine. And I'm just going to click to the little circle there, and again change it to the right hand side and make another one over here. Then going to go and change and select another subassembly, which is my daylight subassemblies, or the batters if you like. I'm going to use daylight general just as a general multi-purpose type daylight, and it's telling me it's on. I'll just run quickly through this and we'll see. I'll let your screens catch up as we go. We're going to go on the right hand side. I'm just seeing which side I put it on so I get it right, and change it to left. Okay, there's heaps of stuff of different sub-assemblies you can use. It's a matter of becoming familiar with the ones that are there. But just to show you where you can get information about these things and what they do, you can see that those daylights I've just put on there, they're actually displaying that it does a different, has a different shape in both cut and fill situations. If you want to find out how to operate and use these things, you can right-click on any of the sub-assemblies in the tool palette, go down to the help right at the bottom of the listing, and that'll take you through to the help file specifically about that particular sub-assembly. So there's all sorts of information in there. I'll just let your screens catch up about how to use that particular sub-assembly, what all the adjustments are that you're going to make to it. And it's quite a lot in this one. Okay. So if you're looking, it's really a matter of having a look at those when you go to start to use them. Find ones that are appropriate and going to work for you, and then continuing to do that and becoming familiar with what's there. Alright, just let your screen catch up again. I've finished making the cross section of what I want my road to look like. We're ready to make the corridor. Okay, I'm going to zoom back out here. It can be quite difficult to, well, in relation to the rest of the drawing, those assemblies that you make are quite small, so many people will often make a little circle to put around them, just so that you can know where they are in your drawing when you're trying to find them. Oh, I've just done that here. Okay, so we're ready to make our corridor. So, from the corridor drop down, we go create corridor, and it asks to select baseline alignment. Just let you catch up there. So on screen it's asked, and on the command line it's saying select the baseline alignment. What alignment do you want to use? So I can just select mine on screen and click it. You can select from a list, but it's often good to select on screen to make sure you're getting the right one. So now asking for a profile. I'm going to select my profile. Make sure you click on the design profile that you've made, not the ground surface. Select an assembly, so I zoom back into the assembly that I've made, and click the Centerline. That's what you want to click here. That's a trick for young players. Click on that Centerline to select the actual whole assembly. You'll then get a screen comes up, and it's the properties of the corridor. There's lots of stuff you can do in here to change and modify, but I'm just going for a simple, or the most simple part that you need to do is check through what you've got in here, specifically in one place that's a trick for young players. You need to hit this button called Set All Targets up on the sort of mid right area. That tells it which surface you want your daylights or your batters to run to. Just at the top, just click here to set all, and you can just, with the screen that comes up, select your natural ground surface. Just wait for your screens to catch up. There it is, natural ground surface. Click OK. It fills that in, and then you can go OK and OK, and it'll go and build your corridor for you. Now there's one thing I wanted to do just to make things tee up a little bit better. I wanted to go and select those two parts of the corridor that I put in there called generic links, and just change their properties slightly so that they've got a link code of daylights. I'm just doing that so that it includes those into the or makes them merge a little bit better into the batter slopes when we have a look at it in a moment. Okay, so let's go and have a look at our corridor over here. Let your screen catch up, and you can see that our corridor has been constructed. It's all the batter slopes. There you go, you should be able to see it now. All the batter slopes are being constructed, and a nice way to go and have a look at this now is to actually select it on screen and use that 3D viewer, same as what we did before. And what I'm going to do is select the corridor and select the surface at the same time, so I can see the two of them, the relationship between them in 3D. I'm going to right click, go Object Viewer, and your screens should catch up shortly. Just give you a second. Okay, you should be able to see that now. There's our corridor, and there's our surface as well, and you get the relationship between the two. Let's just do a zoom window on this thing and zoom in nice and tight on a little area. Let your screen catch up. There we go. And you can see that it's got some nice rendering on here already, so that you can see what's going on. We've got the road, we've got the curb, that's our little generic link on the side, and we've actually got, in places where there is cut in the road, there is a little ditch being put in, and where there is no cut, I'll just go zoom extents, another zoom window, places where you're in fill, there's no water table being put in there, which is what you'd hope, what you'd like. Okay. There you go. You should be able to see that now. Okay. I'm going to close that viewer now. Another good check to make sure it's formed up correctly is to put it in that object viewer. I always do that, just a matter of course. Okay. Things you can do with your corridor. Just the same as we did with the surfaces. Let's just close that up. We can look in the tool space, right click on our corridor and turn that on Rebuild Automatic. And now whatever changes I make to either the surface or the alignment or the profile in my drawing automatically get updated through to that road that we've already built. There's nothing else you need to do, so let me demonstrate that. Let's go VPorts command, split my screen into 2 vertical. If you don't know this is quite fun. And what I'm going to do is take the right hand one and zoom into part of my corridor and plan view, and the left hand I'm going to zoom into part of my profile. Okay, I think your screen should be catching up. Yep, you should have it now. Alright, so if we look carefully, I can highlight the profile, I can grab one of the IPs, and I can drag it downwards, and as I do that, because, oops, turn my snaps off, as I do that, as soon as I reposition that, I've got the corridor on automatic rebuild. Just watch what happens to the plan view on the right hand side of the corridor. As I do that, it's going to recalculate the corridor, and straight away you can see the extents of the, well, in fact it went from green, which is fill, into red cut. Let's just try and get close to the surface, and we should be able to see a bit more difference there if we just pop it nearer to the surface. And it should just auto-update again now. Okay, so you can play around with that to your heart's content. Also, you're able to, if I go back and manipulate it horizontally, I can grab the alignment there, move that to the point of that circular arc, the intersection point, to a different location. Corridor rebuilds itself, and she auto-updates. This is a really good feature for one particular job that I had to do, building a road into a very, very tight, steep gully. I could just sketch out where I thought it would go, build the whole corridor and road and the whole model, and then just play around with it, adjusting it in and out of the hillside, changing the grade and where my vertical changes of grade occurred, and just move that road in and out of the model, in and out of the natural ground surface, until it had all the properties I wanted in terms of cut and fill and its actual alignment. I could see how that road was going to change and interact with the surface as I was building it. It's brilliant. This would have taken a very long time if I had to do it via some of the older software that we were using before Civil3D. So it's really made a big difference to the workflow and the speed that you can get jobs done. All right, other things we can do with corridors just before we finish off. Let's go and just change my viewports back to 1. Single, okay. What I want to do now is just build a final total model, if you like, a completed model of my ground surface plus my corridor. So I go over to the tool space again, right click on the corridor and go into its properties. I won't delve too long on this, on how you actually set it up. If you need to view the recording later on to see how I did it, that's fine. We can have the recording on our website, in the usual place. For those who haven't seen those before, you just need to go to our website, AEC Systems, and in the menus along the top of the homepage, there's one for webcasts or webinars. You need to register to view them, and then all our clients are able to download and review these sessions as they like. I'm just going to go and create a surface quickly out of this corridor. I'm going to use all the top links, add that in, put a boundary on it, add automatically, daylight, okay. Alright, I should have a new surface there. A corridor surface created. Surface properties. Let's just put some contours on it. Alright, just done that really quickly, but you should be able to see, if I zoom in a little bit, that we've now got a surface created there. So I've got a corridor surface and a ground surface. Oh, by the way too, if I went to adjust any of that ground surface again now, remove points, add new points into it, the corridor would also automatically take into account those changes you've made just because it automatically updates. I'm going to make a new surface here called total. I'm going to put it on a triangulation. We'll go for that cyan triangulation like we had last time. Triangulation cyan, there we go. Okay and okay. And I'm going to do a surface edit, and I'm going to add in, first of all, the natural ground surface. Doing what we call a paste, so I'm going to paste in the natural ground surface. And it's just combining surfaces together. You can see it in the background, that's immediately made this new triangulated surface. And then I'm going to paste in on top of that our new corridor surface. Paste surface, corridor, okay. And you can see extra triangulations has just jumped into that. Should be able to see that in a moment once your screen catches up. Okay, you should be able to see that on screen now. So we've got a nice blue triangulated surface, which is a new surface in our drawing, just being created out of the other two surfaces. I'm just going to select that. I'm going to just change the style so we can see it a little better in 3D. Just give me a second here. I'm going to change its model to, oh, that should work. Alright, we'll see how that goes. Okay, it should be blue in model when we spin it around 3D now. Right click, go Object Viewer. Hasn't come out the colour that I wanted it to, but let's see if we can get a decent view on your screens. Okay, let's just try for, there we go, now we're better. Now we're a bit better. Just wait, switch it on to conceptual. So you can see that the road model has now been integrated into the natural ground surface, and we've got a finished ground surface that we can continue to do more designs on if necessary, depending on what we're doing with our job. Alright, so that's a really quick run through of the basic functionality, the everyday functionality I should say, of Civil3D. I'm just going to change back to our PowerPoint for a second. There she goes. And the final screen, say thank you for joining in for this session. Good luck with trying those things out. If you're working on a trial version of Civil3D, we can have a bash and see if you can follow through what we've done. If you don't have a trial version, just let us know. Ring your local AEC office and we can send you out one. And have a bash. Yeah, lots of fun to be had. And we'll see you on the next webcast. Thanks for joining in. Catch you later.